On behalf of the Department of Residence Life, I'd like to say welcome to our parents, families, and other support people for our UW-Platteville Pioneers. College is an exciting time for our students and their families. Your student will spend the coming years asking some tough questions about their life, academics, careers, relationships, and all the other excitement college has to offer. 80% of a college student's time is spent outside of the classroom, including time in the residence halls. From this perspective, we have seen some patterns and themes. Understandably, each student faces these changes in a unique way. Siblings may have experienced it in a different way. We've also noticed that there are trends that our families and support people transition as well. Today we are going to focus on our students and several ways for you to help your student in the transition to college. Because we have learned that by helping your students, you are helping yourself through the transition as well. First, let's talk about what's happening right now. How are our future pioneers doing? Some of them are letting you be a part of the excitement. What do I need for college? I need the fanciest, biggest QAM compatible TV there is out there with multiple HDMI ports to connect my multiple devices. There is a growing list they say they need in order to come to college. All we can say is cha-ching. Other students are facilitating what we call a preemptive strike. It's going to be so easy for you to say goodbye because they sure are making life miserable at home right now, aren't they? This is pretty normal. We recommend creating a list of things you would like to do with your students before they move to campus. Some of this may include actually going shopping for some of their residence hall room stuff, taking a look at old photos from when you were 18 and having a good laugh. Talk about how you're going to stay in touch. Facebook, texting, you name it, and have some fun. We also recommend creating a list of things you need to do because on all levels, students need to start thinking independently. Teach them how to do laundry, even if they plan on bringing it home whenever they can. Chat about financial aid and thinking long-term about their money. Observe their choices regarding living a healthy lifestyle. How can you help them with nutrition? Talk with them about alcohol and drug use and the consequences to those choices. Spend time talking about time management and making priority lists. Should studying come before gaming? I'm sure we all think so. And most importantly, speak with them about how to ask for help when they need it. We are providing them with lots of resources. Remind them to use them. Help them to start practicing. Maybe let them take the lead the next time big decisions need to be asked or talked about. They need to learn how to communicate with others, especially their roommate. They aren't always going to be in the right, and they have to learn how to take responsibility as an adult now. Teach them how to compromise and how to be flexible on the small stuff, but when it comes to the big stuff, they need and should be standing up for themselves. Most importantly, help them to realize that they are not alone here, but they are in control of their life. Hopefully they're excited about college, but as they say, change can be hard. Leaving behind the familiar and support systems of home can be challenging to anyone. Psychologists refer to homesickness as separation anxiety. If your student is suffering from homesickness, trust me, they're not the only one. In fact, research shows that 50 to 70% will suffer at some point. The anticipation of leaving home can bring on feelings of anxiety and depression a few weeks before coming to college. Others may feel ecstatic to be coming to college, and after the excitement wanes, they may start experiencing the same anxiety and depression their peers had felt earlier in the year. So what can that look like? They might tell you outright that they are homesick. They may call home more often or visit home more than you expected. They may express dissatisfaction with everything and everyone, be especially worried about classes, or have difficulty in making decisions. Loved ones need to watch closely for any signs of serious adjustment difficulties or depression, excessive alcohol or food, excessive TV watching, or internet and video game use. We all know when you ask the question, "So, how's everything going?" they are most likely to respond with, "Fine." That might be the case, but don't be afraid to ask more specific questions to get to more specific answers. They might be holding back a bit, but once you start to ask more probing questions, the truth will come out. The good news about homesickness is that we learn and grow from it. When overcoming challenges and being successful, students will have an increased sense of independence and increased self-esteem as an adult. When you're in the middle of that phone call or you receive that text, remind yourself that increased independence is one of the goals for your college student. Going through this difficult phase may be a part of the necessary process of independence. Give your students support, but know that they need to deal with the situation in their own way, and there are ways for you to help. Ultimately, it is up to them and they have to make the first move. Until then, we have a few things for you to think about. The power of suggestion can be a dangerous thing. The first few weeks at college are activity-packed, and the challenge of meeting new people and adjusting to new situations takes up a majority of a new student's time and focus. So, unless they're reminded of it, they'll probably be able to escape homesickness to a certain extent. Although you want to let your student know that you miss them, don't dwell on how empty the house seems without them, that you've cried the whole way home after dropping them off, or that you turn their room into the new guest room, or the dog is searching the house for them every day. Let them know that you and your family are also adjusting to the changes, and it is hard, but it will get easier. Redirect their negative feelings and anxiety to things they are doing well and accomplishing. Reaffirm to your student that homesickness is normal and that it will go away. Remind them that college is a significant transition and that it does take time to adjust. Don't tell your student that these are the best years of your life. The first semester of college can be full of indecision, insecurities, disappointments, and most of all, mistakes. It's also full of discovery, inspiration, good times, and exciting people. Those parents and support people who accept and understand the highs and lows of their students' development are providing the challenge and encouragement where it's needed most. They may at some point look back at these days as amazing. Living through them right now can be a struggle for some. Continue to make positive comments about Platteville and the college experience. Remember, there's always two sides to every story. Don't buy into negativity expressed by your student, but validate and be solution-focused. Be patient with those "nothing is going right and I hate this place" phone calls or texts. All students will be frustrated, have a bad day, or be irritated at some point and make contact back home. You provide a real service as an advice dispenser, sympathetic ear, or sometimes a punching bag. Encourage students to find resources on campus, such as the academic support programs, the counseling center, the dean of students' office, or their resident assistant for support and advice. Yes, mail does come to the residence halls. Most first-year students would give anything for some news from home and family, although they may not admit it. Even though it may seem old-fashioned, it's nice for the student to receive simple news from home in their mailbox. However, don't expect your student to reciprocate. We haven't seen a run on stamps in a long time. Other forms of communication that are also nice is Skyping, FaceTime, text messages, etc. But you definitely feel special when you get a letter you can hold in your hand. Picture how great an interaction will be if they come back to their room with a care package from home and ask the person across the hall if they want a homemade chocolate chip cookie. Suggest that your student take some time to make themselves more familiar with the campus. Study a campus map, take some walks around campus, find some new and interesting places. The more familiar they become with their new home, the more quickly they will feel comfortable. Doing small things such as attending a club meeting, having dinner with a new friend from class or their residence hall, talking to a professor, attending an athletic event will help them feel in control. Encourage your student to stay on campus rather than making frequent visits home. It is difficult to adjust to college if you're not there, especially on weekends, as that is when a lot of social activities may occur. It's usually best to wait for a prearranged weekend to see your student and the school. Give your student time to adjust and to get settled. Support people to our college students often struggle with the transition to college as well. The reality is you may be hailing from a completely involved culture of high school where you can check grades, school attendance, health records, bank accounts, and everything else online. A culture that has allowed you to be heavily involved in your student's career thus far. Now they are moving to college, and access isn't quite as easy because your student is an adult. You may know what HIPAA stands for. We fall under FERPA, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. This limits us from talking to anyone except the student regarding grades, issues they are having on campus, etc. They need to be the ones who reach out to one of our offices if they have questions. So let's start prepping now. Let's chat a little bit about making mistakes. We all make them. Your student isn't perfect, and we don't expect them to be. There are lists of policies, university standards, and community standards that we expect your student to read, understand, and abide by. It would be chaos if we didn't have these policies in place. Allowing your student to make mistakes helps them to learn and grow from those mistakes. Allowing your student to advocate for themselves brings them confidence in their decision-making abilities. Allowing your student to understand they need to take responsibility for those actions is also key. A great piece of advice is to start listening to listen, not to respond. Start asking questions like, who do you think you could talk to about that? Or, how can you find out that answer? Or our favorite, what is coming up in the next month that you are really planning ahead for? Let your student know that you believe they can handle the situation and transition to college and to make adjustments, that you believe in their abilities. If there are abilities that you think your student may need to work on now, such as conflict management, time management, prioritization, making new friends and meeting new people, even budgeting, have those conversations ahead of time to set your student up for success. Don't be afraid to suggest resources on campus, but encourage your student to do the communicating with the office themselves. Suggest that your student get involved on campus, attending a club meeting, join an intramural sport, volunteer to help somewhere, or get a part-time job on campus. Students who are more involved are happier and are better students. Help your student think about whether some extra academic support might be of help with classes and schoolwork. Perhaps they are feeling overwhelmed and could use some extra help studying. Perhaps a study group would help, not only academically, but also socially. And finally, remember, we are here to help.